Welcome. Welcome. This is episode 3. It is the case of the vigil nobody needed. And I want to start. Let me start. Welcome. Welcome to episode 3, the case of the vigil nobody needed. Once upon a time, I'm in my office and a young woman comes in to talk to me. And I'm fond of this young woman, but she's upset. She looks like she's been crying and very teary-eyed. And she closes the door. She comes in and she takes a seat. And we have a conversation. And what she tells me is that she's about to turn 27. And this is a problem because at 27, in her beliefs and her faith, one is deemed a spinster. And since I was a few years older than her, I was like, well, that's interesting. I didn't really consider myself a spinster. And she goes on to tell me that this is such a big deal in her family that her mother had planned a vigil. Saturday and Sunday, candles, prayers, offerings, I don't know, but she was that serious about concern, understandably, for her daughter. The reason the young woman came to me was she was like, well, you are pretty much infuriatingly happy and you're not married and you don't have children. So what's with that? Why don't you, why aren't you feeling this loss or this defect or this deficiency that I'm feeling? And I was like, huh, that is really interesting because that's the day that I understood nothing was wrong with her, but there was something questionable about the calculation or the math that brought us to this point. Again, welcome to No Skimpy Costume Required. This is episode 3, the case of the vigil no one needed. And this is the podcast for women who are done feeling irrelevant. It is for the woman who is unconventional, but not willing to just cave in and do what everyone else is doing. And she's saying, I'm special, I have value, and she is ready to be visible. She's ready to be the SHERO. She's ready to move from being a sense of wasted space to being the SHERO of her own story. And hello, I'm Murphy. So let's dig into this a little more. This case is that place some of us, perhaps you, have experienced, where the world quietly decides you are unfinished, not valuable, in some way defective. Um, and maybe they do that through a prayer vigil, or maybe it's in a pause, because I've had that happen too, where someone is quiet. Um, on Mother's Day, people want to wish me a happy Mother's Day. And it's awkward. I don't have kids. And so then they get in this, want to get in a conversation with me about this, and there's nowhere to go. In fact, I have a friend who's been married for, decades. And for her, the situation is she has no children, but her mother continues to send her a check for her birthday, which is not bad. It's just that she doesn't do it for her brother who is married. So what does one read into that? You might say nothing. But I say something is behind it, even if it's just a piece. I was talking about this concept at one point in a group of people, business owners, I think. And there was a man in the group. And when I was talking about how there's this place, this time, this space where someone has a conversation exchange with someone, and then all of a sudden they feel irrelevant. And without missing a beat, he said, "That's not true." I can remember his response. It was so clear and crisp and concise. I was, what? Because I wasn't talking about him being a him. And then I watched his face, and I could see the wheels moving. He was processing it. He didn't say anything else, but I could tell it was almost as though he was thinking about a sister or someone else. He was like, "Oh, yeah, it's good to be there." So, but he didn't interrupt anymore what I was saying. So that worked out pretty good. Uh, it is this math out there. I'm going to call it math, or this calculation that can leave a person feeling irrelevant. We're not going to try and fix that math today. We just want to name it so we can identify it so it stops running unchallenged. We live in a world where there's a lot of gray: do, don't, stop, go, whatever. But in this space, we want to take some time and just recognize what's happening and let it, and see if it'll allow it to resolve on its own, or at least bring some more awareness into the conversation and who we are and how we're feeling. I have I also was having a conversation with a woman, and I mentioned that, I just chose circumstances. I didn't, get involved in a relationship, and I didn't marry, and I didn't have children. And her comment was, "Oh, that's kind of sad." And I was like, hmm. But for some of us who've had this experience, there's this feeling that happens. I always think of it as being relegated to the children's table. So in an event, especially if you're one person and you attend a family event or event that's got a lot of couples or families involved, it's this sense of having not graduated or not completed finishing school. Like, my sister used to say that she'd put kids down for a nap, and if they weren't fully baked when they woke up, you could tell the nap didn't really work. So there's this unfinished sense. Um, so that, yes. So what I want to bring to our attention right now, you and I, is this awareness, so we know when we're being, some might say, marginalized. And it can happen to anyone, but I am specifically speaking to when it happens to children. Here's what I believe. The pause is the whole story. Okay? When someone pauses, you tell them who you are, and they pause, they're telling you something. They're deciding something, they're figuring something out. We are not going to get all up in their business about what they're thinking. This particular piece, this sense of being extra or wasted space, as I call it, it's not usually said out loud. People recognize that wouldn't be polite. Sometimes I think it's envy. There's women who will envy that they don't have children. I remember having a conversation with a group of business owners as well. And I was explaining what I wanted to support single women. And that's what this is about. And the married women got a little frustrated, and especially the women with children, because their piece was, sir, I think my children is my legacy. I was like, oh, that's interesting. One of the pieces, so it's not about self-doubt. This is about exile, internalized exile. So completely that you start guarding the gate yourself. Right? So maybe you turn down an invitation to a family gathering. In fact, I had one of the women I spoke to said that her mother was quite miffed that she was not going to be coming to Christmas with the family. She and her husband, they had no children. And of course, she loved her family, but that wasn't where they were going to be that Christmas. That could be a chosen exile. But if we only have this idea, this sense of being put in our place or minimized or marginalized or what have you, and it's only on the inside, it's not a conversation, it's not externally known, it can become a form of internalized exile. And you start protecting for it. So here's what we're doing. This is the mobile phone booth. This is the part I love talking about, the mobile phone booth. The mobile phone booth is this idea that, once upon a time we'd see Superman go into a phone booth and then he'd pop out and he was in his costume ready to go. Well, I want you to carry a mobile phone booth with you. And that's the idea that some of the tools, the tools and techniques, the behaviors and patterns that you want to take when certain things show up. When this behavior shows up, the one thing that we're going to do is not own it. When somebody pauses, we want to catch the math. We want to note it out loud or in our head, but we want to note it in real time. And here's one of the cool pieces about doing this. When we do that, it moves us out of sort of this wonderland, fairyland, I'm just getting through it, into the present moment. Because there's a realization that happens, that comes up. It's like, oh. And for me, I can often feel it in my body, this sense of being relegated to like I said, to the children's table or to the back room, or not really having my thoughts and preferences considered in terms of the larger group as to what's going to happen next. So when it happens, be aware. Change your posture in the room. So quest number 3, think of a moment someone did the math on you. Someone calculated something on you. They did it either out loud or in a pause. Don't relegate it. Just name it once for what it really was. A boss, a female superior, a parent. It's happening a lot. And we want to be aware of it. When you know what it is, share it with me. I would love to hear what yours is. Maybe we can talk more about it in a future episode. So, game on. Your quest is identify a time when you may have felt the math sneaking up on you from the other side. Game on. I'm Murphy. Go on. Go be her. Go be the SHERO you came here to be. That's the case. That's the quest. Until next time.